Masters of Science in Information Technology virtual information session. My name is Tom Kresh. I am our Director of Graduate Admissions, and I will be our host for tonight. The event should take between 30 and 40 minutes. We have a great presentation from Dr. Lamaki and Dr. Mihal, and we'll be helping students preview their experience in our graduate program. It certainly has a lot to offer. This event is being recorded, so whether you're watching the recording or you are watching live, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. But before we go any further, Dr. Lamaki and Dr. Mihal, would you mind introducing yourselves?
Sure. I'm Dr. Carolyn Lamakia. I've been with the university for about 10 years, and I teach undergraduate and graduate information technology and analytics classes, and I'm also the coordinator for the MSIT program. Prior to joining the university, I worked out in industry. I worked for Accenture for quite a number of years as a consultant. I also worked for DuPont and Bell Atlantic, which is now Verizon.
Excellent, thank you. What's your area of research, Dr. Lamakia?
I have a couple of areas. I do cybersecurity and data analytics.
Oh, okay. Very, very important topics today.
That's very interesting.
Thank you. And Dr. Mihal.
I'm Scott Mihal. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Business, Innovation, and Technology now. It's called. I've been at Bloomsburg/Commonwealth for 6 years, and I've taught in the MSIT program for about 5 of those years. My background is in technology and education, and prior to coming to Bloomsburg, I was a senior instructional designer at a university in Pittsburgh.
Great, welcome. So thank you very much for the introductions here. We can go ahead and kick off the presentation. Already got through the introductions there. So, the first question we always have to answer is, why would a student want to do our Masters of Science in Information Technology? They're going to give up time. This is going to be an investment, right? It's not going to be free. Why would someone want to embark on this journey? Dr. Lamaki, did you have anything to add?
Well, we have several types of students. I have students that are fresh out of an undergraduate program. Some of them are in a technology degree, and some of them might be in another degree like political science or a science or management. And they're looking for jobs, and they're discovering that technology, particularly jobs that look at analyzing data and using all of the technological resources out there for an organization, those types of jobs are in demand. So they want to continue their education by signing up for our program. We also have students that are already working, and they realize that maybe to get the higher end jobs in their field, a master's degree adds to their portfolio. So they look for areas where they can advance their skills, and every organization needs folks that can leverage technology. So they come to us, even if they don't have a technological background, to add this MS information technology to their resume. So
Yeah, and that's one of the things I'm excited to talk about tonight too, is this idea that, oh, if I go for the master's in info tech, I better have my bachelor's in computer science or in info tech. And it's like, well, no, not exactly. Supply chain management, like every aspect of business is going to have technology integrated in it. So this is going to be a relevant curriculum for everybody.
we even get several students that are in the medical field. They may be established in the medical field, and they're seeing that hospitals and other medical organizations are managing their organization based on technology. Maybe they are analyzing patient data, or what insurance companies cover, or some kind of patient care, or trying to use their resources so that they can get the best utilization out of their resources. And what do? They study what is happening in their organization, and they learn how to do that type of analysis in this program. So that is another area where we have seen a tremendous growth.
Yeah, I know one of the more popular graduate programs we have at the university is the Master's in Nursing Informatics, which
Yes.
is an integration of nursing and information technology. Yeah, it's great.
Yes, and we're using some of our classes.
Yep. Dr. Mihal, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add there what sort of sets our program apart from a lot of other master's level information technology or computer science or really just any type of technology programs is that ours is sort of designed to make you well-rounded and to offer you more than just one sort of narrow career path. So our graduates go on to work in all different types of organizations and all different types of roles. It's not just hard sort of IT or classic IT as you would imagine. There's a lot of analyst jobs out there. There's a lot of business intelligence and analytics jobs out there. We have people go into more what you would consider non-traditional type of career paths. And as Dr. Lamacchia mentioned, we have a lot of students who don't have even a business undergrad degree who sort of see the value in working with technology who come to our program as well. We like to really pride ourselves on bridging that gap between whatever your bachelor's program is and the master's tech and the technology component to where we don't need somebody to come in that has necessarily a hard technology background. We can still get you there and have you learn technology skills and business skills no matter where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then so just the program overview, Dr. Lamacchia, if you were to try to summarize the program in a couple of bullet points, how would you do that?
Well, we have 10 classes, and each class is 3 credits. And we offer our classes in 6-week increments. And a student may take up to 2 classes at a time during the 6-week increment. And there's like a little break in between. So if you go through all 10 classes, you could finish it in less than a year. Some of our students who are working don't take 2 classes at a time, they only take 1. So it might take them 2 years to finish the program. And what we do is we teach you the various classes that are offered year round, and we use a learning platform where we have recorded lectures, and we offer you support, and you take the class at your own speed on your own timeline. And there is going to be minor deliverables in most of the classes during the 6 weeks to keep you on track so you can have feedback. And then there's projects in these classes. So it's a very convenient, workable solution for folks that have families or somebody that's working full time, or even for someone that wants to quickly get through the program, within a year. Do you want to add anything, Dr. Mihal?
I just want to mention there, sometimes our 6-week courses get compared to other programs that might be running, 7-week or 14-week courses or 16-week courses or whatever they might be. And at the end of the day, 3 credits is still 3 credits. If you're taking, 4 classes in, let's say, an MBA program over the course of a semester, and in a MSIT program, you're taking 2 in the first 6 weeks and 2 in the second 6 weeks. It ends up being the same workload essentially. And in fact, I would even argue ours is a little more efficient because when you're only doing 1 or 2 at a time, there's much less sort of shifting gears cognitively from one topic to another and one class to another. And you can sort of focus on that class and that project that you're working on, rather than constantly switching over from one thing to an next and remembering due dates for 4 different classes at a time. So I find that sort of advantageous. It is accelerated though, in the 6-week format. It does allow us as well to stay consistent. Like for example, our fall courses being 6 weeks, there'll also be 6 weeks in the spring and the summer. So we get to sort of keep that consistency in how our courses look and feel throughout the program.
That's an excellent point. Our students love it too. when they only have to focus on 2 classes at a time or full-time students, because some of them find it challenging to be focusing on the 4, even though they have longer weeks. It's more to manage and more to keep track of. So that's
Yeah,
an
it's not my perspective here. It's not easier, but it's simpler, right? So it allows students to go into greater depth in these subjects because they can channel all of their attention into the one or the two courses, as opposed to spreading yourself very thin and having 4 simultaneously. I think that's a great idea, and from what I've heard from students, it's the same thing. Yep. Um, and Dr. Meal, can you talk a little bit about the certificates? I know that that was a newer addition and something that you guys have worked hard to integrate into the curriculum.
Yeah, absolutely. So these have sort of popped up over time. Most of these have come about uh, as we've sort of looked through the job postings that are out there and sort of seen what are the relevant skills that employers are looking for, and then we go about adding them strategically to different courses in the program. So we have a SaaS analytics certificate, which is using SaaS via for learners. They're sort of analytics suite of products. We use SAS Visual Analytics and SAS Studio in our program. And in partnership with SAS, we've been able to award students who complete our courses a certificate in it. So you get sort of an industry relevant certificate. SAS is used out there by many different organizations, or even, all organizations use some sort of similar tool, if not SAS. So these certificates like the SAS certificate or like the Maven Python certificate, excuse me, they've all come about as we've sort of tried to identify what are the needs that are out there in the job environment, the different job postings that are out there, and how can we offer students a sort of a digital certificate of some sort that they can put on their resume and say, here's the things I've actually learned, here's proof that I've learned them. So that goes hand in hand with a lot of the course design that we have in our program, which is very experiential and it's very sort of problem-based learning, where, as Carolyn mentioned, all of our classes have some sort of project, if not multiple projects, and they're very realistic, scenario-driven assignments that are much like what students would do out in the real world on the job. So you get to sort of earn the certificates throughout the program, but you're also sort of building a portfolio of things you've worked on as well through these projects. And students have come back to us and said multiple times, like, hey, that project I did in that class working with data and answering these questions, I got an internship because of that, or I got a job because of that, or my boss said that that seems like an interesting thing. Maybe we should do something similar here in my position. So that is just sort of an encapsulation of our sort of experiential model, I think.
Yeah, and that's an important topic too for students who are coming right from the bachelor's degree right into the master's degree. And I hear this often where their concern is I'll be overeducated, but underprepared because I won't have as much experience. But in a program like our MSIT program, like you're doing real world projects that are you're adding to your resume. You're building your portfolio of work as you work towards degree completion. It's built so as soon as you cross the graduation stage, like you're ready to go day one, right? And you've got, the courses are all application based, and I think that's great to hear. Dr. Lamaki, can you talk about the fit for, basically, again, the assumption is I better have a degree in a technology-based field in order to get admitted into the program, but that's not always the case. What are some of the things you're looking for in a qualified applicant, and what are some of the more common majors you see?
Well, I would say that at least 50, maybe 60% of our majors do not have an undergraduate technology degree. There's quite a bit of them. I think they find that the job market is not very open to some of the less defined fields. They need to be able to contribute to the bottom line when they get to work. And our degree does help them do that. Having technology skills and experience is going to help, say, a generalized management major get a job. So what we do is we help a student from where they are. We provide the support and we teach them from ground zero to be able to use the tools and be able to complete projects and assignments. Um, Not to say that we don't have technology folks in our program, but they're using tools maybe that they didn't have in their undergraduate degree or they don't have where they're working because we're using up-to-date, state-of-the-art types of technologies um, in our courses. So everybody's learning and they're learning at their level. So I don't think anyone should be shied away from trying out the program just because you don't have an undergraduate degree in technology. I do not lose, I'm the MSIT coordinator. I do not lose students because the program was too hard for them. I have lost very few students over the years, and I've been the coordinator for about 5 years. And typically, if I lose a student, it's rare. It's because maybe they had a job change and they're moving somewhere. It's for a totally different reason than I could not do the coursework. So we rarely lose a student and we're able to meet them where they are and get them over the finish line.
What are some of the more common majors that you see for applicants?
Um, well, I have some nursing, accounting, political science. I have lots of folks in the science area, um, in the biology, chemistry type area, and they're in maybe lab type jobs and they're not able to advance further in their career. So I get quite a few of them in that. And then these general business types degrees, marketing or management, and maybe they just don't have enough of the analytical type skills to be able to get the job that they're hoping that they could get. You know, they're not reaching their potential without having more technology in their toolkit.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Um, and Dr. Lamaki, if you talk about the program delivery again, it's going to be very different from what students are probably used to from their undergraduate degree. I know we talked a little bit about this. Is there anything else you wanted to add about the course delivery method?
Well, we do have our courses broken up on a weekly schedule, and we have lectures that we have recorded and assignments for each week. And sometimes most of the time, there's an ongoing project in our courses. And we have usually a weekly deliverable where we can give a student feedback to make sure they're on the right track. Um, what I like to do is when somebody asks me about the program, I let them see a couple of courses to make them
Hmm.
feel comfortable. And I'm offering that now. You can contact me and I'll show you some of our courses so you can see how you would progress as a student, you know, we have this learning management system based on D2L or desire to learn, and we happen to call it Brightspace. And we all build our courses and we're pretty consistent. Our lectures open up on a Sunday and the assignment is due the following Monday. So you have 2 weekends to work on an assignment. And we have maybe technology projects, maybe short papers, maybe some quizzes, um, you know, to complete for each of the various courses. But we like to have a project that you're building upon during the course delivery. So,
And what's the student to student interaction like?
well, often I have Zoom, optional Zoom meetings for students, or they send me emails, or we work through something over a Zoom session. They don't have to come to the campus or anything, but if they need us, we work with them. You know, it's hard to teach over email. So often, if they have a problem with something, we'll have a Zoom session and work out whatever the problem is, or we answer, easy questions over email. You want to add to that, Scott, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm sure everyone who has ever been in a program and taken online courses before has had one of those courses that you just get discussion boarded to death. And that's not what our program is. So we use discussion boards very strategically, and it's usually something like, is there some sort of social benefit to this discussion? And we sort of use them in the beginnings of classes, especially because that's when we want to start to build those social relationships. So at least you're, at least connecting with somebody else out there in the program early on in the course. So if you need support later on, you get that. But for the most part, we ask our sort of peer-to-peer interactions happen organically. We don't sort of force you every week to go in and post on a discussion board or anything like that. And one of the reasons for that is, as Carolyn mentioned, our courses are all asynchronous in nature, where we're not telling you need to log in on a certain day and a certain time and complete things on that day. We give you a pretty big uh, uh, amount of time to complete things by a given due date, but how you complete that work during that time is totally up to you. And it's sort of a requisite for this program because we have people that are out there, working 50, 60 hours a week. And we have people that are GAs on campus and they're at, campus events. And we have people, working or with busy family lives or whatever. So that flexibility is really important. And when you require those peer-to-peer interactions, you're in some ways limiting that flexibility because now you're sort of relying on somebody else's schedule as well for
Yeah.
them to reply and you to reply to them and so on and so forth. So long story short, we use it very strategically and very sparingly as a result, because of the inflexibility of student to student interaction.
And that reminded me of something else, which I encountered during my graduate studies, is team projects. And I'm not aware of any team projects in our entire program. We find them to be very restrictive because you're relying on a lot of other people's schedules.
Yeah.
And there's no real reflection of what you would see with a manager supervising a team at work.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't frustrate our students by forcing them to work on a team project.
Yeah, and I think the pedagogy, the way the program is facilitated, lends itself to very good preparation for the professional world because the way the program is facilitated is basically how people operate in a professional setting. It's done, when if you were to interchange the class with a work project, like the expectations would be the same and how they completed it would likely be the same. And it provides a really nice runway for students to enter in the job world because what they've done in grad school in this program is exactly what they can expect when they graduate. That's a great point. And that gets us to the curriculum. Dr. Lamaki, can you walk us through the courses?
Well, we have 7 required classes, and admittedly, the names might sound scary, but they're really not. The courses are not scary. We want the names to sound, and impressive because they're going to be on your transcript. Um, but these are our 7 required classes, and we offer 3 of them in the fall, 3 in the spring, and 1 in the summer. And we also have 2 electives, and we have a practicum. So altogether, it's 30 credits. Um, Here are some of them. I teach a few of these, and Scott teaches a few of these, and we find them very interesting, and we think our students do too. I get a lot of feedback from the students. Oh, we just did something like this at work, and they get very excited when you work on something that they encounter at work. Um, but what we tried to do is reflect what is happening out in industry and give a broad, flexible background to our students through these 7 classes.
Yeah, and honestly, it seems like each one of these courses is almost a job. Like, all right, enterprise architect, like that's a job. Cybersecurity, that's a job path. Data analytics, that's a job path. App development, those are like, again, you talk about the connection between what you're doing in the curriculum in the professional world, like the titles of these also equate to positions, position names. So that's really, really interesting. Dr. Mihal, and I know you've taken a lot of classes over your academic career. You're probably teaching quite a few. Do you have one, I guess what's your favorite? If you're going to like, provide some superlatives for the academics here, what's your favorite class to teach?
Oh, that's a great question. Probably the 520, the business intelligence and analytics class, just because I've had so many iterations of it. I've taught it, I think, probably five years now. I've taught 520. And it's one of those classes where it all is sort of centered around a software platform. And a lot of our courses are sort of based this way, where, we might say a lecture video, but that recording really could be, a lecture over a PowerPoint. It could be a tutorial video of how to use a specific software and how to solve a specific problem with that software. And that's one of those courses where everything is pretty much hands-on. Everything's sort of a scenario where you're given a data set, you're assuming this fake role at this organization, and you have a set of problems to solve using whatever techniques we're learning in the class that week. So it could be statistical models, it could be how to build dashboards and reports, whatever it might be. So that class is like really hands-on with data-driven decision making and sort of building deliverables and as an outcome. So every single week in there, we do at least one activity where we're using a realistic data set to solve realistic real-world problems. So that's probably why I enjoy that class the most.
Excellent. Dr. Lamacchia,
Well,
how about you?
there are several classes in here that I teach, and some I actually have had a position in industry. But recently, I've taught it twice now. I have taught INFT 510, Business App Development, Programming, and Evaluation. And why I like this class is Scott discovered this programming platform, Maven Analytics, which guides students through Python programming. So part of the class, the students learn how to program. Now, just the mere mention of the word program makes my undergrad and graduate students, some of them, not all of them, very uncomfortable. But this platform that Dr. Mihal found makes folks learn how to be programmers very easily. And I offer them support. And then we also talk about just software development and how a lot of our applications that an organization purchases, uses, are purchased. They're not really developed. So the class goes with two paths. One is they need just to have the background in programming, which they, learn through this Maven Analytics Python platform, and they learn a very marketable programming language. And at the same time, they learn about the software acquisition and decision making that is done in order to pick applications. So I have been having a lot of fun with INFT 510 just because I see students develop, and that's very exciting. That they might enter feeling a little nervous because they see the word programming, and then they finish and they're all getting good grades. They're feeling,
Mhm.
oh wow, I know how to program. So I've been enjoying that, and it's probably mostly because of the student reaction. So
So,
I like a lot of them in there. I just think our program is awesome.
Could I actually add one thing there? The 530 course, Dr. Lomacchia also has a background in enterprise architecture, and I hear this from students all the time. Like, this is the most uh, technical sounding, intimidating sounding course in our curriculum. And she does a lot of sort of demystifying what actually goes into this, what goes into enterprise architecture. And students leave there with such a better understanding of what's going on in that space, I think, than they came in with. So I think that's a great course that she teaches as well.
Well, thank you.
Well, and Dr. Mihal, that's a great point. And I think for someone who does not have a background in a technology related field, they may be looking at this thinking, holy cow, this looks pretty scary. My degree is in communications or my degree is in history. How on earth am I going to survive these courses? What would you say to a prospective student from, let's say, a liberal arts background who may be looking at this and saying, I know how to use, the Google suite, or Microsoft Office products, but I don't know anything about data analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. So two things there. Number one, as you said earlier, pretty much every course there is a field of study in itself. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where our degree is different than a lot of other programs in that it's designed to make you well-rounded. And that means we don't ever go so in depth on any of these areas. We have a couple courses that are sort of analytics related, but even that, we're not going anywhere close to what a full graduate analytics degree solely on analytics goes into. So our goal is to make you sort of well-rounded in the sort of intersection of technology and business, not to go super in depth in any one given area. And this gives our students much more options. Second, I'll say there, we've had a lot of students over the last 5 years who have come through our program with liberal arts backgrounds who have had, whether it be insecurities or nervousness about the program, and they've been just fine. And a lot of our best students actually are sort of non-business, non-technical undergrad majors who kind of see things from a different perspective, especially. And in the world we live in today, you're hard pressed to find a job anywhere that's not dealing with data and technology in some way. Like they're all sort of optimized to use data, to use different software platforms, to use computers. So, whatever career you end up in, unless you're like, um, an actor, maybe it's difficult to find one that you're not like, at least in some form or fashion, working with technology and working with data.
No, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And then the elective specialty courses, Dr. Omaki, do you have anything else to add on the specialties?
Well, we try to pick emerging technologies, and what happens is we try it out, and maybe it's a subject of our research. And then if students respond and they really enjoy it, we end up turning it into a regular class. It's not required because we try to pick a wide variety of topics. Um, but these are some of the topics, and as you can see, some of them are fun, like the sports analytics or blockchain, e-business, website development, and I think they're all fun, personally. But what you need is 6 credits or 2 classes, and you pick what you're interested in, and you have an opportunity to pick an elective throughout the fall, winter, spring, or summer sessions. We offer quite a variety throughout the year. Do you want to add anything to that, Scott?
Um, I'll just add in there that some of this sort of pops up as things that students have told us they're interested in, and some of it pops up from trends that we see in the job market. So, for example, the Power BI course that came from us seeing a lot of organizations shifting from using BI tools like Tableau or even Excel and things like that, and a big focus on moving towards Power BI and development in Power BI. So we said we got to at least offer this to our students in some way. And that's another one of those courses where we have a certificate built into the course. So it is an elective, so we don't really market it out there that you're going to get a Power BI certificate. But if you take that course as an elective, you do get the opportunity to earn a Power BI certificate as well, which, that's a really attractive thing to add on to your resume when you're applying to jobs, because it is one of those like hot software tools right now that a lot of tech jobs are looking for. I do also want to mention here, I know it might not fit here that well, but while we're talking about the curriculum, over the course of the 5 years that uh, we've been really optimizing this program, other programs at the university have started to use our courses. So now the MBA program uses our courses in some of their core. So all of the MBA students take our courses. The Masters of Accountancy takes our courses as electives. I think you mentioned the MSN program, the nursing program takes our courses. So, we get people from all over taking our classes. And that's another one of the reasons why we can't make it solely a technical business program, right? Like we have to have our courses be able to be taken by all of these different students in all of these different programs. And we can't just assume that they know anything as well. We have to sort of, as Carolyn says, meet them where they're at.
Yeah, and it also goes to show that IT is like the central nervous system for businesses and organizations, and that has not always been the case. Used to be kind of, something kind of off in the periphery, and right now that's just you literally cannot operate without this. So it's become so much more important, and you're seeing this being integrated in every aspect of our economy. So it's a really good time to be breaking into this field. And this is a good transition into, what are some of the professional experiences that are built into the program? What are some of the ways we're getting people ready, the off ramp into their career?
Well, many times I have students that are working, and they'll be talking about things that are happening in their organization, and they'll be incorporating stuff from our classes into their regular day-to-day work. And
Mhm.
we have something called a practicum, which is like the capstone. And a student has the flexibility of either doing an internship or research, which is a very uncommon option, or doing a project. So if folks are at an organization and they're working, no matter what kind of um, title they have, I try to encourage them to take a practicum by doing a project for their employer and showing off the fact that they're getting this degree. You take it towards the end of your degree. And that's been, um, has been leading to promotions, recognition, even other job offers for students.
Yeah, that's great. Dr. Mihal, do you have anything to add?
No, just the same sort of experience there. We've had students do all kinds of different projects, and we like to encourage them to do something you're interested in or something that you're working on the job already, just to sort of take a deeper look into whatever it is that they're most interested in. So last, I think it was last fall, I had a student who um, worked with some friends of theirs on a startup company that they had, and they helped develop a full data strategy for that company and how to collect data, how to analyze that data, how to identify new marketing opportunities because of that data, build a bunch of cool reports and dashboards for them. And it's like, it's a real thing that company, that startup company used into the future and was able to capitalize on. So we really like those projects to be sort of hands-on, and we work with students and sort of identifying them, like what are the opportunities for you to do here, whether it's at your current employment or it's some other connection that we can make with maybe a company in town here or something like that. So we've had some of those. I know Carolyn had one recently of someone working with one of the nonprofits here in town.
Yes. They used an Excel worksheet to manage all of their data, which was very complicated. And my student, through their practicum, designed a database for them and a simple screens, a little online system so that anybody from either their mobile device or from a computer could update data right into this system. I've had folks, like I had a young man who worked for a transportation company, and he was analyzing the data and figuring out a way to minimize um, trucking expense and gasoline cost, and work with the various loads that had to be delivered. And he analyzed the data to sequence the load delivery and save the company an awful lot of money. So we have lots of different examples of how students would incorporate what we are teaching them in the classes to their place of employment, whether it be during a class or
Mhm.
during their practicum project.
That's great. Yeah, the consultative approach to helping pick topics, I think, is probably something that students really benefit from too. And this is something we've talked about already, is that this is a good time to be getting into IT for a number of reasons. But Dr. Lamaki, can you talk about some of the career options that may exist for students who, graduate with this degree?
Well, just go to a job search platform and put the word analyst in that for your search criteria, and you'll come up with lots of different jobs. And you'll notice that you will more than likely have the educational requirement for that job. Now, sometimes they want uh, on on the job experience. They might ask for 2 or 5 years experience. But if you can talk about your projects, you can compensate for on the job experience. If you write your resume the right way, because you have experience doing that skill, you can get the job. So we do help you with that. We help you with developing your resume. But there is plenty of jobs out there. It's a massively growing field for information technology.
Um, yeah, and I think what you're going to see too is you're going to have an IT team in every business. Like some degrees lead you to specific career options. So like if you get a degree in healthcare administration, you're going to be working at a hospital. If you get a degree in sport management, you're going to be working for a sport franchise, or a college athletics. IT is going to be at every single business, every single organization in America, and that's going to open up a lot of opportunities because of that. Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Miho, did you have anything to add on, the career outlook and some of the job options? Where do you think, maybe the field may be going in the coming years?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to mention there too, sometimes people get caught up on that word IT standing for information technology and they think of the IT department. And
Mm,
really, most of our graduates don't go work in a traditional quote unquote IT department. It's technology jobs that are sort of embedded all throughout organizations in different levels. It could be in management, it could be in accounting, it could be in finance, it could be supply chain. And this list here is far from exhaustive. And we've had a number of students actually get jobs that, if you look at their degree and their coursework and what the job requirements are, they appear unqualified for it. Like, for example, we've had students get jobs in cybersecurity and they've only taken one class in our program in cybersecurity. And you would traditionally look at that and go, how did that student get that job? Well, employers look at what they're learning in our program and say this person has demonstrated the ability to learn all of these different technologies. We'll train them on the job for this cybersecurity position or for this BI position or whatever it is. So we have students get jobs as well that are more specific, but it's a pretty wide umbrella in terms of where our students end up down the line. It's ever growing as well, as I'm sure Carolyn will attest to.
Yeah, that reminds me of someone that was hired as a cybersecurity analyst. And it's because they understood data organization and analytics and the fundamentals of cybersecurity. So that was a very good example to bring up, Dr. Mihal.
Options out there. And then we get into the job outlook here, and I think this lends credence to everything that Dr. Lamaki and Dr. Mihal have been talking about, that there's going to be a lot of growth in the very near future, and I'm sure it's only going to continue to grow as you look at the direction that our economy is heading in. So certainly,
It's in any industry.
yep.
Like you said, it's in any industry and it's not just in the IT department. So
Yeah, and Dr. Miel, you mentioned this too, is yeah, and I'm guilty of this as well. When you think of IT, you think of, the pop culture references to the IT department of like it's someone, squirreled away in a basement. fixing computers when they're broken. And that is not at all what this career field is like. I mean, when I hear, what you all were doing before you moved into the world of academia, like they were rock and roll career options, Dr. Lamont, I've heard you talk about your former professional life prior to joining, the faculty ranks. And it was, I mean, like it was a fast-paced career. And I think that's probably going to continue to be the case.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could manage a project with IT, or you could be one of the members of a project team. You
Mhm.
could help pick out what the new major, they call it the enterprise resource planning application is for a company and help implement it. You could take a look at a company that maybe needs to start analyzing their data to look for strategy, look for opportunities, and you would know how to look at what is the organization of the data, how can I build warehouses and start doing analysis of that data. There's lots of areas.
Yeah,
You don't have to be in IT.
yeah,
And the
absolutely.
tools that we use aren't highly dependent upon being able to program. These tools are developed with an excellent user interface, and they're meant to be used by people that are working in various fields.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's illustrated too with our alumni. You see some of just the varied careers that our recent graduates have gone into, um, and you see they're doing a number of different things. Yeah, and this is just a very, very small subsection of what some of our graduates are doing, but they're all out there doing great things and probably had a number of job opportunities when they graduated as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So that gets us to the application and the admission process. The application process is pretty simple. Um, you can see the requirements there on the screen. It's, the online app. What Dr. Lamaki and Dr. Mihal are looking for are transcripts, resume, the 2 letters of recommendation. One point of clarification, we do not require the GREs or the GMATs. Um, we accept applications for the fall, the spring, and the summer semesters. So, we operate under rolling admissions. Dr. Lamakia, Dr. Mihal, what are you looking for in a qualified applicant? What are some of the things that you're looking for as you're going through and reviewing materials to say, oh, this person might be a good fit?
Well, we hope to have a minimum GPA of 3.0
Mhm.
for undergrad. And although we will consider applications that have under a 3.0, especially for people that have been working for a while and maybe they started out a career and they show that they are successful in their career and a strong, they're ready to be a good student.
Mhm.
So that's what we're looking for. Um, so I think you should take a chance. But most of our students do have a 3.0 when they apply, but don't let that keep you from applying.
Mhm.
We look at the whole package when we make a determination. And the process takes usually about 2 weeks. So we ask you to apply 2 weeks before you want to start in the programs to give us
Mhm.
time to review it.
Great, thank you. Dr. Mihal, anything what would you typically look for in a qualified applicant?
That's a good question. So first, I want to mention there that not having to take the GRE or the GMAT, like I did an MBA, and I really wish I would have never had to take the GMAT because that's like 5 hours on a Saturday morning that you get back of your life. So it's a good deal to not have to do that. So I'm not involved with any of the applicant admission stuff, but I can say that students who are successful in our courses are successful because they put the time in and they're willing to work, right? Like the only students who ever end up getting in trouble academically in our program, it has never happened because a student was trying their hardest and couldn't learn something. It has always been, they just got too busy and blew off the coursework because other things took precedent in their lives or something like that. It's never like they couldn't get through the stuff, it was too difficult for them. So that I think is an important consideration when you're looking at a technical degree. how difficult is it? How much support am I going to have with this? I think we are both very supportive faculty members. We meet with students pretty much every day of the week at different times in the evening over Zoom, in our office hours in person. So we're always there to help students. And the most important thing that you need to be successful in this program is to just the sort of dedication to doing the work every week. As long as you have that, you'll be in good shape.
Great, thank you. And as we wrap up the presentation here, here's Dr. Lamakia's contact information, and Dr. Mihal and I are also happy to help in any way. Really, we work for you, and we're certainly happy to do so. So if anybody has any questions, please do not hesitate to contact any one of us. Like I said, we're certainly happy to help.
Yes, I'm happy to go over the application process with anyone. And I'm also happy to share some of the coursework so you can see it for yourself. I meet with students during the workday, in the evening, and on the weekend. And, so you feel comfortable before you make that decision. So feel free to reach out to me with an email, and we'll get together one-on-one and talk about your particular situation. If there's something you are questioning or you feel uncomfortable about, I will be honest and I will work with you, because I don't want to steer somebody in the wrong direction. I have a sincere desire to help people get where they want to go. And I'd like to have that conversation with you if you have any questions.
Great. And Dr. Mihal, did you have any parting advice for the group?
No, I'll second that. If you have questions or apprehension about anything, send us an email. You'll probably find we're pretty personable and we're willing to talk you through any of these things. And, we're not salespeople either. We want people in the program who want to be in the program. And, our program, I think, sells itself already. But, if we feel like something else is a better fit for you, we'll definitely tell you that.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate your time, and if anybody has any questions, again, please do not hesitate to reach out to any one of us. We are certainly more than happy to help. We look forward to hearing from everybody in the future, and have a great night.